bases dropped on a Monday, and there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about across the board. There are games to talk about, and there's a game to talk about for Atlanta United. And Jarrett there, Jon here, and this is going to be a bit of a hybrid show since there is no soccer over there tonight. We're going to talk about things domestically. There's some things that happened over the weekend that have went on internationally that we'll talk about. We have a couple of questions from y'all, which is fantastic. We love it when you are a part of the process as well. So, Jarrett, how was your weekend?
The weekend was fine. It involved trying to learn a little bit more about Bielefeld. It involved,
yes, it did.
My usual degenerate exploits in Scotland, and keeping track with Atlanta United in preseason.
We have a game to talk about. The new phone books are here. We have a game to talk about.
This sort of random. This is sort of random publicity that can make someone.
Mm-hmm. At the Estadio Tres de Marzo in Guadalajara, Mexico, Jason, and by the way, belated happy birthday to Jason, who got to spend his birthday weekend in Guadalajara, Mexico, watching Atlanta United take on Celaya FC from the Liga de Ascenso in Liga MX. And I guess from 30,000 feet, what were some of your takeaways of what we saw? Yes, it was 3 30-minute segments, and you had some big changes after the first 60, where you had second teamers come in after that point, except for one guy, Alex DeJohn. And according to Jason, the center ref goes and shakes Alex DeJohn's hand after 90 minutes because Alex DeJohn was in it for the whole time. What did you think about the 2-1 win over Celaya?
I treat these all the same way. Don't get too high or low on the score.
Right.
It's not worth it. They gave up the first goal because I don't know if it was DeJohn who made the mistake, but you have the ball come in from the left side. It's to the right side. It's headed back, and then it's a nice little scissor overhead kick. Gets past Goose. I mean, you gave up a goal in preseason in a really spectacular manner. And then you got an own goal because Araujo, who switches from the right to the left there, and Tyler Wolff starts playing on the right, creates an own goal opportunity. You got to make sure own goal gets a run in the preseason.
Yes.
And then Jake Mulroney comes in and does Jake Mulroney super sub related things. That's what you expect from him at this point. And it was about what I expected. I mean, you're still ramping up. Guys getting 60 minutes now. This is conditioning. This is getting your body ready to play. Hey, you're going to play a 30-minute segment. Hey, you're going to play a 45-minute segment. Hey, you're going to play 60 minutes this time. Next time I expect a bit more from guys. And even if they're only playing, 45 or 60 minutes, I expect to see them going harder, burning more energy, trying to build up to regular season. You want to escalate things. You don't want to, you don't wake up in the morning and go hike a mountain. You got to work your way up to it. And that's part of it. And the results are secondary to it. It's great to see him win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bash any or trying to dismiss wins in the same way but it's the same way for me that if they had lost, I'm not crying over it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it because the result is secondary to getting everybody ramped up and seeing how individuals are doing when given opportunity.
When we are looking at the folks that we saw that stood out, and let me get into one of the questions that was brought in by Goldie Hans this morning. Who is the biggest surprise on the field so far? Anyone from the last season's starting squad looking better than before? First and foremost, there were a lot of absences from the starting squad. So, you had an Alex DeJohn playing all 90 minutes. You had a Mikey Ambrose in there playing center back. You had Jake Mulroney coming in for his first appearance playing centrally. And so there were some things that were in there that were a little different. I mean, you had George Campbell, and you mentioned folks doing Jake Mulroney doing Jake Mulroney things. You had George Campbell doing George Campbell things. Continued, so we got to see that. Tyler Wolff, I thought, had another really good session because once again with Marcelino Moreno out, Tyler Wolff is stepping in, and Tyler Wolff is taking advantage of those minutes.
He has, and it seems like we're at a common thread here that you had Gonzalo Pineda now, you had Rob Valentino. You had Gabriel Heinze. All of them seem to rate Tyler Wolff and keep him involved in first-team training. Seems to be a universal thing that people are a fan of what he can bring to the table, and I feel like he's starting to find his groove with everything. Almost scored a fantastic goal
Mm-hmm.
yesterday that I believe, forget who put that ball. Might have been Hernandez put that ball in from the right side, or Araujo.
That was Aruju, yeah, because it was in the 15th minute
Yeah,
of the session. Aruju sends it in
just
from the right.
lost the damn thing.
Yep, and Wolf has the volley that ends up going over the bar, and so Wolf had his opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but Wolf continues to get into good spots, and it's just working on execution. But he continues to be in good places and contributing, and his growth has been a lot of fun to watch because I know he's a homegrown, but and this is going to sound weird. I feel like it's kind of like not getting the same consideration as other homegrowns. Not the same excitement, but Tyler Wolf has definitely earned that. Jake Mulroney continues to be a guy who I think is a really, really good super sub, especially if he's going to add the element where you can throw him into the middle of the field because of his ability on the ball. I'm fine with that. Having him run at people late in games, that's not a bad situation to have. And Jake Mulroney is what he is, and that's a productive player in those situations. I think you pick your spots with him, and he can cause a lot of problems. He's not identical to other people, but we run into this a lot with players of there isn't a cookie cutter for every single player that you've loved in your life, unfortunately, where they can't be exactly like someone else. And if you try and compare one player to another to a T all the time, you will drive yourself mad. But Jake Mulroney continuing to be what he is, which is that guy I can bring it off the bench to kind of be a changeup, and well, in his case, a fastball.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's a great thing to be in. It will give him a long career here if he wants it, and a long career in MLS if he wants it. Being that kind of player, Andrew Gutman. I mean,
Yep.
the guy we haven't seen before this year, unless you were watching Red Bulls games closely, which you may have been. I don't know what you're doing with your spare time. I encourage you though, because Andrew Gutman looks like your any concerns you had about the left back role.
Yes.
It's gonna be all right. Andrew Gutman ain't a problem.
I feel like we're bringing in Ricky Vaughn when you're talking about Jake Mulroney. Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
It kind of feels like that because he's just so. He is kind of that, like, I'm going to bring him in and traditionally play him on the wing, and he's incredibly fast. He's good with the ball at his feet, better than I think he gets credit for. You go back to the was it assist or an own goal he had last year that he contributed to in a positive way.
Yes.
He's really good with the ball at his feet. He knows what he's doing, and you get him in against a tired team who gets sloppy and they start stabbing at the ball. He's setting up good set piece opportunities, but he's also if he can win those one-on-ones, he's good enough to be a problem in those limited, like, little 20-minute segments. And yeah, you can start sometimes. Don't think it's not that you can't start, but I love him in that role where I'm asking him, hey, I need you to come in here and just basically wreck shop for a while and make everyone stressed out.
And what we saw with Wolf and Aruju, initially they were counter to their dominant foot. You had Aruju on the right and Tyler Wolf on the left. And then in the 50s, that's when you saw them switch to where their main foot was to the outside of play. And that created the own goal situation that you were discussing, where they switched sides and Aruju was in space. Brad Gazan had to come up with the one big save from a close range also in the 50s that kept it at 1-1. And that got us into the third session where it was Bobby Shuttleworth, Alex DeJohn, Noah Cobb, Machop Chol, Caleb Wiley, Sadich, Aiden McFadden, who I know that you want to talk about a little bit, Mikey Ambrose, Centeno, Mulroney, and Jackson Conway. They were around for the final 30 minutes, and I know that Aiden McFadden had another moment off of a set piece where he had the jumping out of the gym moment that we're used to seeing with Atlanta United too.
Yeah, and it's still the same thing. He is unreasonably good in the air. It's kind of annoying how good he is in the air, in fact. But feel good on him for continuing to do that. And Aiden McFadden just keeps. It's a unique situation for him because you're pretty deep at that right back spot right now. Like, you have Brooks Lennon, who is working his way into the conversation of being on the fringes of the national team for the United States. Ronald Hernandez is part of the Venezuelan national team. You got two really good players in front of you, but Aiden McFadden is in that always ready mode. And whether that's with the twos or the first team, and I think it's going to be 99% with the twos this year, that's fine. He just comes in and plays an aggressive right back and loves to get forward, loves to win the ball in the air. And we saw it a lot last year. There were games, I believe it was the Lou City game, where part of Atlanta's game plan was they were loading the left side down and then hitting long diagonals, and Aiden McFadden would just win them over and over and over.
Yep.
And it was guys like Mackie Jope who's there waiting for that ball that he's winning.
You get to see those kinds of moments. Gonzalo Pineda in this particular match was looking for progression during the preseason, and you also get to see the counter pressure kind of dial up as well at moments against Celaya. So it was a 2-1 win, and they are now going to spend another week before the double header against Chivas and Tepatitlan next weekend, and we'll keep you posted on progression and how things continue to evolve with Atlanta United there in Mexico as they are in their preseason. So we have our shopping list for this morning. And
we do.
Yeah, we do. So let's stick domestically. And I know some folks in the timeline have inquired about Jürgen Damm, and apparently Jürgen Damm said things on Instagram, and without necessarily sitting there and going verbatim over what Jürgen Damm actually said. From looking at things from the outside, as we continue to do so, Gonzalo Pineda has said Jürgen Damm is not in Atlanta United's plans. And Jürgen Damm basically said, okay, well, then, and I'm paraphrasing, that he's going to want his entire salary figure, which is for
you get paid, son.
Yeah. So that's, this is what your contract is. And so you're going to want what is entitled to you in your contract. And so he's going to, he's going to hang around and I guess and practice with the twos and whatever. And there were, once again, I'll remind folks where Jürgen Damm is concerned, at least from my personal perspective. He was brought in on a free. And I know that, Jarrett, there's a point that you want to make about the contract here in just a second, but he was brought in on a free, signed to a deal, and I go back to the game in New England where both he and Ezequiel Barco were injured. And this was early in the process for Major League Soccer last season, where you're still having to travel up the day of the game. And it's a long flight and it's a drive for an hour because Foxborough's in the middle of nowhere. And for someone of Jürgen Damm's typeset, he is used to playing a game a certain way. And it takes a long time. It took a long time in this particular case to recover from the injury. And when he was healthy and came in late in the year, you saw what he's capable of. So sometimes these things happen. And I know that as we're looking at players, Jarrett, I know that you looked at the contract and had some things that you wanted to add to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, you got him on a free, and this is where we've gone over and we've lost track of how many times we talked about you got him on a free. There was nothing wrong with that. I don't love that you had him on a contract this long for this much money. I would have not signed him to that, and I'll disagree with the way they did that. But at this point, it's water under the bridge. There's nothing I can do about it except disagree with having put him on a contract like that. But you were taking a risk on him. As far as Jürgen goes himself, man, get that money. But I am a proponent for athletes getting paid because you're using your physical skill set that is very unique as a career path. You can only do that for so long. This isn't like working in an office building where you can do it until you're 60. You only have so long you can do these things. So in Jürgen Damm's case, I hope he is successful in just enjoying life, and I hope he puts in the work. Don't get me wrong. If you're going to train with the twos, go try and show that you can be a part of the process there. And maybe, I don't know, man, maybe he ends up getting minutes with the twos. I don't know how that's going to work.
And maybe there's still a club outside of the United States or even in soccer that is interested in him, but still has to have some empirical evidence to justify picking him up toward the end of the window.
And you're going to need to continue working if you're Jürgen Damm. you got to continue to work because I'm fine, man. Like they signed you that contract. Hey, go ahead and get your money. But if you'd like another one after this one, you're going to have to put in the work.
Yeah.
But he knows that. I don't think he's dumb by any stretch of the imagination. He knows that's the fact. So he'll just put in the work and we'll see what happens.
And there are other transactions that you can make if you are the front office for Atlanta United that can
still have
for that money that you have invested in Jurgen Damm. Yeah, I know that that some folks, and Drew Gano on Twitter has said that the front office has missed more often than should be acceptable. Drew, I'd like to know specifically what examples you're talking about when it comes to missing more often than should be acceptable within the context of both transfer fee and salary figures. So, Drew put that in this morning. And I'm of the mindset, but once again, we can always go to the end of the line here, but we're not there yet. Yes, Atlanta United can use the MLS buyout if it comes to that kind of pulling the ripcord situation. That option is still on the table, and it's Jarrett. Once again, it's something that you have maintained from the beginning. It's not something that you do immediately. It's always there for you in your hip pocket.
Yeah, and it might come to a situation where they decide, hey, we're just gonna pull the trigger on this and just buy him out. And yeah, that's fine at that point because you're coming up to the edge of the window. You have at that point exhausted all of your resources to try and move him. And if it comes down to it and you're at the end of the window, yeah, fine, do it. I'm not opposed to doing it. I just wanted to cover all of the bases and make sure that you went through every possible way to possibly make a profit off of him before you cut him loose. But if he ends up staying on and just training and I don't know, playing with the twos or something, hopefully he continues to put in the work for it. Hopefully wherever he goes, he's able to stay healthy too. Dude came in with a positive mindset about everything and just hasn't been able to stay healthy on the field. And if he's not a part of their plans, hopefully they're able to work something out with him so he can go be part of someone else's plans.
Speaking of being in someone else's plans, let's go overseas and talk about George Bello. And George Bello got in 20 minutes for Arminia Bielefeld in their match this past weekend against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Bielefeld had a 1-0 lead, surrendered an equalizer, and it ended up being a 1-1 draw. George got in for the final 20, and there was one moment where it was a back pass, and it created an opportunity for Borussia Mönchengladbach hitting the other way. But the key in this is that George had a short-term memory, came back literally the next possession, heading back the other way, going from right to left, and created and was there to help create a chance for Arminia Bielefeld. And I give the club a lot of credit for celebrating George Bello. I believe in the printed version of the newspaper. We all remember the printed version of the newspapers where they actually put out a nice ad welcoming George Bello, and it gives Atlanta United fans another club to chase and to keep track of. And I will say this, in watching when Bello came in with 20 minutes to go, the fans that were there at Arminia Bielefeld gave him the massive welcome that you got. It was very, very loud when George Bello entered. Great to see him there, getting the 20 minutes first time out of the blocks, Jarrett.
Yeah, it was fun to watch him get that welcome. And God, I hope following this team goes off better than following Newcastle for some Atlanta United fans, because God, what a decision some of y'all made. God bless you for it. When Miguel Almiron went there, I picked a hell of a time to become Newcastle fans. I'm just saying. Good on George for getting this opportunity. Now he gets to go and see if he can make that jump. And he is betting on himself in a good way. And I hope it pays off in just staggering success for him and staggering success for Bielefeld, where it's a situation where he shows out. They eventually are able to sell him and make pretty mint off of it, because guess what? Atlanta gets some of that money too.
Yeah. That goes back into our other discussions as well. So good work by Bielefeld. Bielefeld, for the record, still is a part of the relegation fight and the relegation playoff discussion when it comes to the Bundesliga. And right now, just so you know, they're in 15th. They're above Augsburg, who's in the relegation playoff spot on goal difference at 22 points. But at the same time, there's a group from basically 11 to 16, only separated by 3 points. So it's 6 teams, 3 points, and it's going to be this way as we all follow Arminia Bielefeld for the remainder of the season when it comes to George Bello at 4, 10, and 7. One of the other questions that was brought in this morning And it was more of a statement from Anton at Dawson ATL1. Let us all rejoice at the Ish House Masterclass Carlos Tevez is about to bring to Major League Soccer. It appears that 3 teams are interested in Tevez, one of them being DC United. Carlos Tevez possibly to Major League Soccer, Jarrett.
I am always here for bringing in people who are part of the dark arts philosophy. Bring them in, let them teach the dark arts. Let them not only practice it, but let them teach it in the way of making sure the youths of tomorrow are ready for the ish housing of today.
And we'll keep you posted on that one. When that one came across, that was let's just say it was rather interesting to see that one come across. And honestly, yes, there will be a certain amount of ish housing, but to be perfectly honest, how much does Carlos Tevez have in the tank, and what can he do in a system like we're seeing with DC United?
DC, where they're going to try and kill him?
Yes, and that basically he comes in and you're trying to combine ish housing and running around at 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think it was. I saw someone say, asked about Julian Gressel. I said, if Julian Gressel survived the Hernan Losada workout plan of 2021, he'll be fine in 2022. It's going to be the same thing for Carlos Tevez. I get strikers aren't going to be running as much as like right wingers in that system, or God forbid, midfielders. There's still a lot of work to do in that system. Hernan Losada is not going to like just let you stand around like a traffic cone.
No,
it's gonna be some merciless activity on that team field.
Yep, a couple of other transfer ideas that are on the board. Looks like Luis Amaria is close to returning to Minnesota United, and NYCFC is signing defender Thiago Martins from a Japanese club as one of their designated players. Right now, he's with the Yokohama Marinos in the J1 League, and it's part of that CFG umbrella that we're talking about. So you could see the center back coming from Yokohama to NYC. And then an interesting one from Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert. A medical is set for Xherdan Shaqiri to be a part of the Chicago Fire. And it looks like there is an agreement.
What the hell? We buried the lead. That's our fault, y'all. My bad.
Yeah, reached an agreement with Lyon over transferring Shaqiri for $7.5 million pending a medical, soon finalizing personal terms, conducting a medical in the next day or two to complete the move, that he would be on track to be available for the opener at Inter Miami on the 26th. Shaqiri was held out of the matchday squad against Monaco pending the move. He'd be a DP, and he would add to a Gaston Jimenez as part of the DP-ness of the Chicago Fire. And there also, it looks like they're still chasing folks looking to get a young DP. According to Bogert, they have a U22 initiative slot open. Xherdan Shaqiri possibly to the Chicago Fire.
I mean, hey, you know what, Chicago? You're going for it, and I'm just happy that you're happy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, okay.
You got to rebuild somehow. Chicago's got to Chicago's gone through like 5 iterations. This is kind of like the Atlas Shrugged movie where they kept changing the cast and the production crew after every single damn movie.
Yes.
That's kind of where we're at with what Chicago is. They keep changing things up every couple of years. Maybe this one fits. Who knows?
To the soccer over there portion of the program. And what I wanted to start with is, kind of being in your wheelhouse just a little bit. So Celtic did what Celtic does, and they won by a rather large margin on the weekend.
Celtic got some confidence and decided to start running out scorpion fatalities on people.
Finish him.
Yeah, there's we can start extracting spines and severing limbs. Hell yeah, let's do it.
And after the match, Ange Postecoglou, the manager for Celtic, was asked by a Scottish journalist why he chose to sign, quote, 4 Japanese players. Here's the quote in return. We have to be careful about saying 4 Japanese players. These are 4 individuals, and they're totally different people. If you ever get the chance to meet them, you'll see they are totally different people, totally different kinds of players. It's lazy for all of us to say, I've just brought in 4 Japanese players. I brought in 4 quality players who I think can add to what I'm doing here. I get it because it seems like people who come from the same place are all the same, but I've run into all kinds of different Scots since I've been here, mate.
Yeah.
How's that for a
Ange Postecoglou does not suffer really anyone in the media in Scotland. It's pretty amusing from across the Atlantic where you don't have to square up with his eyes every time when you're asking him a question, because he does not have a sense of humor that he is aware of when answering half these questions. But yeah, it's a valid point because first of all, Rio Hatate is going to burn down Scotland in a way that Kyogo is currently burning down Scotland when he's healthy. Yeah, Hatate for just $2 million. It's a stupid steal, but it's something we could discuss here in America with Atlanta United specifically, because we have a lot of South American players in Atlanta United, and it's not just hey, we brought in that dude from Argentina, we brought in that dude from Brazil, we brought in that guy from God knows where, from Paraguay, with Miguel Almiron back in the day. It's not just we're bringing in these guys because they're South American. Like, each one of them is a unique person. Each one of them has a personality that's going to mesh. And you've seen this in the interactions with them throughout the past and the way they interact on the field. You talk to them, and yeah, they are different people. And I'm glad he brings this up. I don't know that everybody. I don't want to assume that everybody needs that reminder, but it's nice to have it for some people sometimes. That, yeah, like, you can look at a picture on Instagram of La Banda when all the players from South America are together, or some of the Americans go with them, or whatever it may be, that they're all individual people. They all have their own personalities, they have their own quirks, and they're all unique, and they're all in their own different way fun to talk to. Like, Joseph's an oddball, but Joseph is a person who is incredibly hard on himself. Carlos Carmona was always fun to talk to, especially at the end of at the beginning of 2018, right before he left. It was such a weird situation for him when he left. Atlanta transfers into Colo Colo for no other reason, like his wife's pregnant, and he wanted to bring his kid down there and wanted to start his family down there. And it's a different situation. I believe he's retired now. But I just remember at the start of 2018 when he had to talk to us, he just handled it so gracefully, and it's such a I don't mean it in a way to demean the way he handled it, but he was just very easygoing about it all, and was very professional, for lack of a better word, about the way he dealt with it. But guys like Eric Rametti had that kind of goofy sense of humor about it. All of them are unique, and it's not just we're bringing in that guy from South America. They're not going down to South America and looking at a player's numbers and looking at their potential and looking at their salary and saying, yep, that one. You're not picking them off a shelf like Walmart. You got to interact with them and make sure they're going to fit what you have going on here.
Also on the board, let's see. So Celtic beat Motherwell 4-0. Rangers beat Hearts 5-0. And Aberdeen got screwed by another call again. So once again, welcome.
Rangers got pissed.
Yeah, Rangers got mad. Celtic got mad. They continue to be mad. And Aberdeen got screwed by another call in the box. So, and the video's out there. So instead of leading with a 2-2 draw, that's a 2-1 loss. And Christian Ramirez continues to impress for Aberdeen this year. I think it's 13 goals on the board now
in all competitions. Yeah. He hasn't even, and service has not been what it was expected to be for him. I think one of the disappointments for Aberdeen has been, just the lack of productivity in the service from the outside, from the wings and whatnot. And it's a unique situation because you have a guy like J. Manuel Thomas, who is kind of this enigma where he's built. If you've never seen this dude play before,
yes,
picture someone who's built like a more swole version of Kenwyne Jones, but who and can literally just muscle anyone off the ball. Like, cannot be forced off the ball, like strength 99. But who wants to play more of like a reserve forward / advanced midfielder who wants to set people up and create more than finish. It's a very weird situation, and this is something they're going to have to work on in their next transfer window to get more production around Christian Ramirez, because, man, it's disappointing for Aberdeen, because I think they expected to be third, maybe fourth in the table, and teams around them are dropping points in a way that that's still possible. But Aberdeen getting Andy Considine back would help them a lot on the defensive side of things. But Christian Ramirez has not been the problem for them, and I'm happy to see it, because Christian Ramirez was somebody we felt like, we had talked about it before, we felt like he could be a really good piece in a lot of places, and it felt like he sometimes wasn't always given the shake you wanted him to get, and you kept thinking, man, if he just gets an opportunity to be the guy for a while. He'll make it stick. And yeah, 13 goals in all competitions for Aberdeen is not a bad way to go about it.
By the way, Barca and Atleti was drunk and
Oh,
stupid
beautiful.
and ridiculous, and it finished up 4-2 Barcelona at home against Atleti. And to show you how wild it got, Xavi got a yellow at one point. His brother got a straight red from the bench in the second half. The game was nuts. And so if you have the chance to go back and catch the highlights, please do right now. Barcelona with the win. They're in fourth ahead of Atleti. They jumped over them in the standings with the win. Barcelona at 38 points. Atleti with the loss is now at 36. And I still think, my gut still tells me that this is probably it for Diego Simeone at the end of this year. You just get to the point to where the message is lost and you're trying to continue to do the same things. And Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, if you haven't seen the highlights, go catch the highlights. Some amazing stuff from Barca getting 4 on the board against a normally defensive Atletico Madrid side. So strong win for them in Spain. If you missed out on FA Cup stuff, there is Prem and Proper is up on the network, and it goes through all of the matchups from the weekend where Bournemouth got Boreham Wood. I just like saying,
oh, Bournemouth.
Yes, yeah. Scotty Too Hottie got with the loss 1-0 to Boreham Wood. And so that is it for them. That is it for the round of 32. Chelsea had a scare against Plymouth Argyle. Kepa had to make a late save on a PK to preserve the win. And at the death, Declan Rice with a goal for West Ham over Kidderminster Harriers to make sure that match didn't go any further. So a lot of wild stuff, and we catch up with it on your Prem and Proper that's up on the network. And 2 moments of stupidity before we get out of England and go to Italy and to Ajax as well, and AFCON. Idiots on the field.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
At both the Forest-Leicester match, Forest scores. They're celebrating. Leicester idiot comes onto the field and tries to get in the middle of their celebration and tries to bow up and be a Leicester fan. You can't do that. You just scored. Dude goes right on the pitch and gets right in the middle of it. And honestly, supporter runs onto the field, tried to throw punches. Leicester apologized after the match. And that guy, and I also retweeted a video that came out from something that happened in League Two, I believe, where you have a situation, and I'm trying to get the match correct so I can give the match its proper due. Let's see. It was in as I sit here and finally find the video. Okay, so it's in the Accrington Stanley Rotherham United match. 1-0, Rotherham is leading. There's a penalty for Accrington Stanley to possibly draw the match at 1 with a couple minutes to go. Just before the run-up, multiple Rotherham fans run onto the field. One of them kicks the ball off the spot and sends it toward the center circle. Accrington missed the penalty once calm was restored. Idiots. Idiot, moron. Ugh. And I could have said a lot more, but I didn't.
Well, I'm still hung up on the Leicester one just because, I assume Leicester is going to do he's banned from all home matches and, won't be able to go to away matches.
Uh-huh.
Hey, FA, I need y'all to make sure that y'all got a pair. Go ahead and ban him from every stadium.
Yes.
You run on the field and start assaulting players, you don't get to go to games anymore. Like, bottom line, you run on the field, you assault stands. It's not a matter of you don't get to go to your team's games anymore. No, I'm not letting you come into any stadium for the rest of your life.
Period.
If they're a part of the FA. No, you're done. Your goose is cooked. You cannot conduct yourself like an adult. You ran on the field and assaulted a player because your team is not playing well. First of all, I don't know, go like hug a tree or something, man. Go get a weighted blanket. If it's going to bother you that much, go find something else to do with your life. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. And it was in League One, just for the record. Rotherham's at the top of the table in League One. With the win, they're 6 points clear. And this really could have been a vital point for Accrington Stanley because they're in 15th right now. And you have 2 points separating 10th from 15th. Had Accrington Stanley gotten the point for the draw, they would have gone to 13th, and they'd be in the middle of all of that. So there are a couple of different groups in League One. So FA, EFL, make a stand. This stuff has to stop. It's idiotic. Italy, where we had the derby, and it was and good for, and first and foremost, I'm going to say this, good for Paramount Plus for sending the crew over there to be live at the San Siro for the match. It was a friend of the network, Poppy Miller. It was Matteo Benetti and Dre Cordero, the play-by-play crew. Grella was there. So great work by Paramount Plus to send the crew to have them pitch side at the San Siro for the derby. And by the way, Inter loses to AC Milan 2-1. And now that means that Inter, Napoli, and AC Milan are all separated by 1 point at the top of the table as they all chase the Scudetto, 7 points clear of Juve, who's in fourth. Craziness with Inter and AC Milan.
Whew. Well, I always love the Scudetto when it gets weird because in the end of the season it gets dumb. It's good. We need more races like this. Like I said, you got Scotland at 1 point, but that's a 2-horse race every year. But at least it's better when it's a 2-horse race than a 1-horse race.
Yes.
Italy has been a lot of fun. I think the Inter ran away with it a bit last year where they got the cushion and they were able to kind of run and hide with it. England won't be fun this year. I just assume Manchester City's just gonna go run away and hide. But we need more fun races like this.
Yes.
And so keep an eye on Italy. It'd be fun. Nick Leafy was doing back handsprings probably in celebration of AC Milan beating Inter Milan. But
and Giovinco is set to join Sampdoria now, according to Fabrizio Romano yesterday, closing in the deal because of the Gabbiadini injury. So Giovinco, as a free agent, is not going to be a part of Toronto FC now. He's going to go to Sampdoria and be a part of their efforts to try to stay afloat in Serie A. 23 points, and they're 5 points clear of the relegation zone. But so Giovinco heading to Sampdoria, apparently.
Yeah, I still want to see if Toronto is going to bring in anybody else for defense, but good for Giovinco going over to Serie A. Have some fun. Enjoy Italy. It's very nice there. And it's to kind of wind down his career, in a sense.
And apparently there are also reports out of Toronto that they have agreed to loan Auro Jr. to Santos of Brazil in a deal that includes a purchase option. Is there going to be anyone playing defense for Bob Bradley this year?
We're gonna put that theory to test that people want to. They only want to watch teams win like 4-0 or 4-3 or 5-4. We're gonna put that to the test because there's gonna be some high scoring Toronto games. There might also be some Toronto games where they run out and beat people into the ground like 4-0. Completely possible. Man, it's gonna be interesting.
AFCON, Sadio Mane put an early penalty miss behind him. He scores the winning spot kick as Senegal knocks off Egypt. And the first thing he did was then go and console Mo Salah. And also a wild story that broke yesterday out of Ajax. Mark Overmars, their technical director of football affairs for nearly 10 years, recently had his contract extended. And he is leaving the club with immediate effect after the Dutch champion said he sent, quote, and this is from our friends at Sky Sports, a series of inappropriate messages to several female colleagues. Ajax stated Overmars made the decision to step down after talks in recent days with Edwin van der Sar, the club's chief executive. And he told the club's website, quote, I'm ashamed. Last week I was confronted with reports about my behavior and how this has come across to others. Unfortunately, I didn't realize I was crossing the line with this, but that was made clear to me in recent days. I suddenly felt enormous pressure. I apologize. And then the continues from there. But big news for Ajax. Mark Overmars, director of football for nearly 10 years, who had his contract extended to 25-26, is out at Ajax.
Yeah. I mean, good on you for stepping down, I guess, with all the allegations. And I mean, you just, yeah, I don't know what else to add to it.
No, just
You can't, man.
you
And
can't.
I'm it is the least important thing about this, but I'm also still shook in the mindset of, unrelated to this, that Edward van der Sar is like an executive, that we're that old now.
Yes.
But yeah, this, as far as this goes, yeah, man, you can't. And good on you for walking away and not, I guess it's good on you for walking away and not dragging this out
Yeah.
and making a spectacle of it and potentially dragging people through the mud, and hopefully privacy is respected in this situation.
Also on the board really quickly, a couple of things to keep an eye on. Newcastle's target Dan Ashworth has resigned as technical director at Brighton to take a possible similar role with Newcastle, considering that they've spent $93 million in the January window. And I figured that I would end on this for the soccer over there portion.
Okay.
Brett Rogers is concerned by the lack of hunger for his Leicester club after their FA Cup thrashing at Nottingham Forest.
Okay. Cool.
Concerned by the lack of hunger.
Okay. Cool.
We made mistakes, and the mistakes then affect the confidence through the team. You go to 2 quick goals behind, you're chasing the game. Then for me, it's something I've seen for a little period now. These players, some of them have done very well, but we lack that hunger and physicality, which was never the case, and is something that's a concern. At least now,
yeah, I would say so.
In the Premier League, yeah, it would be a focus. So the standings right now in the Prem, as we actually get back into games in the midweek, Leicester is 10th at 26 points right now. They're in that group of 10th to 15th that's only separated by 4 points. Leicester, Villa, Southampton, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Leeds, 26 to 22. That's 10 through 15. And Leicester has been up and down in their last 5, and they've been even more up and down in their last 10. Leicester 3-3-4 in their last 10, going backwards even further. Hey, they're 5-5-5 in their last 15. So this seems to be a very mediocre club right now with Leicester City and Brendan Rodgers. So there's that. Just figured I would look at that and make you wonder, is Brendan Rodgers, if things don't go well, is Brendan Rodgers out the door at Leicester City at the end of the year? Something to keep
What a time to be alive, though, because remember, like a year ago, we're like, man, Brendan Rodgers might be making a jump to one of the big 6.
Mm-hmm.
And now things change. And I don't know what he does to fix it, because Brendan Rodgers, I think, has proven he's a good manager. So I don't know what his next step is.
Yes. So with that, and Ashworth, and let's see, Christian Eriksen has arrived for training. That's your feel-good moment of the day. If you haven't, I'll give you 2, actually. Christian Eriksen arriving for training at Brentford for the first time since joining the club. That happened very early this morning, Eastern time. And if you haven't seen the video of Jack Grealish making the young fans' day for signing the shirt, find it. That's fantastic stuff. Good for Jack Grealish. Well done. Nicely done, Jack Grealish. Figured we'd end on a piece of good news for the Monday. What else is on your mind, sir?
I mean, you pretty much covered all of it.
That's what this is, a hybrid show, brother.
Yeah, no, man. We pretty much covered all of it. It's Atlanta United being involved in more preseason games. Again, enjoy them when you get a chance to watch them. Don't get hung up on the result, more of the performance and guys ramping up. And guys like Matessa Setu, as he's trying to, grab more of those minutes in the midfield. Emerson Hyndman going to be coming back into the fray, who was playing well before his ACL went kablooey last year.
Yep.
The world stage, just keep up with your leagues. Maybe find a new league to watch sometimes if you get bored. It's always fun to wake up when your kid wakes you up at like 6 a.m. and the only thing on is the Indian Premier League. Even more fun when your kid has decided they like curling. That's a weird one.
Go.
It was like yelling last night yelling of, why did they throw it through the house? Oh, cool. Cool, we're there. Great. There is an Atlanta curling club, by the way. I think they used to meet up at the Marriott Ice Center. I'm going to have to go back and do that again.
Absolutely.
Because we've never done it before. Curling is incredibly difficult.
Oh my God.
Ice is slippery.
Yes.
And when you push out, you're not throwing the stone. You're using your legs and the body weight and the momentum to make the stone move, and you just let it go. You're pushing off, balancing on one foot while dragging your leg behind you, and trying to put the right amount of spin and release on the stone and not fall on your ass, which I did multiple times. I'll find the videos I have and we'll share them.
So try to release a stone trying to act like Camilo Villegas. That's your YouTube video search for today as you're trying to do what he does, sizing up a putt, but moving on a slab of ice. Breaking news before we go. Toronto FC has signed a forward.
Okay.
Jesus Jimenez, club announced that Jimenez has been signed through 24 with an option to 25, joining the roster pending his ITC and work permit. Quoting Bob Bradley, Jesus is a skillful attacker who has a combination of excellent movement and dribbling, scores goals, creates chances for his teammates. Looking forward to having him join our team in training camp as we prepare for the season, end quote. Joins 28, joins after spending 4 seasons in Poland's top flight with Górnik Zabrze, 6 foot, 176-pound striker, 134 appearances, 43 goals in all competitions. Made his debut with Górnik when he started against a Moldovan club in Europa League qualifiers back in 2018. Prior to playing in Poland, played in the Spanish 3rd Division, and was in the youth system at Leganés. So 28-year-old forward, and it looks like the Toronto FC is just going to play a 1-1-9 or 1-1-8. I think that's what we're going to.
Hell yeah.
We're going to play a 1-1-8.
I want to see this experiment in motion. I just don't want to see it with my team.
Yes. I think that the defense probably gets addressed in the summer window, so that's how that he won't play a 1-1-8 for the entire season, just for the first half. Jarrett, that's a show for a Monday. Send us home.
Mucha plata, y'all.